Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday live stream. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Today, we're talking about how to start a virtual assistant business with no experience. I've got a jam-packed training for you guys, so I hope that you are ready just to dig into things. We're talking all about virtual assistants, how to get started, what do you really need, what do you not need, how to get started quickly, because one of the things that I have noticed when talking to new VAs is that they just want that step-by-step roadmap. What do I do? How do I actually accomplish the task? And so that's what this is. We're going to be diving into what do you really need to get started? And of course, we'll do a Q&A at the end. So this is basically the blueprint. If you have no experience as a virtual assistant, that's okay. You're in the right place. If you do have somewhat of an experience, or maybe you've taken the first few steps in your business, that's okay. This is still for you because we're going to be really talking about how to do each one of these steps well. So maybe you've already accomplished a step, but there's something that you've missed, or maybe there is a step that you still need to take and you're needing clarification on how to do it well. That's what we're going to talk about today. So I have 9 steps outlined for you in this presentation that we're just going to be talking real talk. What do you really need to get started? Because there's a lot of fluff out there. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but there's a lot out there of, oh, you have to have all these different social platforms, or you have to do this many hours of outreach a day, or you have to XYZ, learn Chat GPT, right? That's like the new thing right now. What do you really need? Let's narrow it down and find that out so you guys have that step-by-step roadmap. And then at the end, we'll do a Q&A time, okay? So I'm super excited. This is gonna be really jam-packed. So I hope that you guys are here. We'll be hanging out for the next hour just talking about how to start a virtual assistant business with no experience. So I'm gonna share with you 9 steps to starting your business, even if you don't have experience. I would love to know how many of you, just, it's okay to be honest, feel a little unqualified. I'll raise my hand right now. I think that entrepreneurship is a constant journey of saying, I don't feel qualified necessarily to take the next step, but I'm going to take it knowing that, well, let me tell you this. Um, I truly feel that each one of you guys are qualified to take the next step, right? You might look at your business and you might say, "Oh my goodness, there's so much to do. Like I don't know if I can get out there and market myself." Well, maybe you're not at the point where you need to market yourself. That's why I think that taking your business in steps, like do you, as we go through this 9-step process, do you have enough courage just for the next step, right? Do you have enough courage to choose your services? Maybe you're not ready to go market. Maybe you're not ready for, going out and telling the world about your business yet because you don't feel qualified. But do you have enough courage to choose your services? Do you have enough courage to, each one of the things we're going to go through inside of this training? Do you have enough courage for that step? And what I have found, if you can just have enough courage for the next step in front of you, you'll get to the point where you're like, oh, I'm ready to market, or oh, I'm ready to hire a team member, or whatever your next step is. And you'll look back and you're like, oh, like, sure, I'm still a little scared, but I actually am ready because I've done all the steps in front of me. Okay. So I just want to like note that in the very beginning, because even if you don't have experience, that's okay. You only need enough courage and enough we talk about imposter syndrome. You only need enough like validity to get you to the very next step, right? And so that's what I want to guide you through. So I'd love to know who I'm talking to today. It looks like we have, about 50 people that have joined us live. So, and anybody who joins later watching the replay of this, let me know in the chat, where are you at in your VA journey? So we usually divide it up into launch, grow, and scale as the 3 phases, right? So that launch phase is, man, I'm just really getting my ducks in a row. I'm finding out what virtual assistance is. I'm kind of choosing my services, choosing my rate. I haven't really gotten a client yet. I'm just in that beginning launch phase, right? So when you pass into grow is when you actually tell people about your business, right? I'm officially open. I'm going to start marketing, and grow is all about marketing. Growing is all about telling people about your business, bringing on new clients, starting to work with clients, understanding what this whole world is about, right? Trying to grow your marketing base. And then once you've kind of sold out your services, or you're really close to that, and you start thinking, man, how do I scale this beyond myself? That's when you start thinking about bringing on a team, right? Having systems in place so that your processes can happen faster, really starting to look at your solopreneur journey as an actual business and how do I build this bigger than myself? That's the scale phase. So I'd love to know where you guys are at: launch, grow, or scale. And most of you guys are in launch. That's awesome. This is going to be perfect for you. Okay. And even if you're in the grow phase, this is going to be really good for you as well. So don't stress if you're like, oh, I'm actually in grow phase. That's perfect too. This really is for people who are in the launch and grow phases of your business. Okay. So let's go ahead and mark it down, the 3 phases. It's good to know that I'm talking to the right group still. Awesome. Ooh, I love this. I'm in the launch phase still, but just took on my first client. Congratulations. Yes, taking things slow and learning. I think there's like a misconception sometimes that in business that we just gotta quick. But like you gotta go at your own pace, right? Like I'm gonna push you. Don't worry. I will push you to go a little bit faster maybe than you're ready for, because some of us would never get started if we never just got out there and did it. But I think that there is something to be said for just taking this one step at a time. So that's really what we're going to be talking about today. What are the 9 steps to starting your virtual assistant businesses? So I'm going to go through each one of these directly. Okay. So feel free to screenshot this if you want to, but I am going to be breaking it apart and talking about each one individually as well. Okay. So you can see the 9 steps here, everything from choosing your services to your rate, a mission statement, learning your client, choosing a name, brand, fonts, colors, create your processes, get legal, and get clients. That's it. I love it. So let's jump in to the very first one. Okay. We're just going to go rapid fire because I want to make sure we have a lot of time at the end for questions. So we're going to want to choose the services that you will offer in your business. So when it comes to choosing your services, guys, a lot of times I think that we get really hyper focused is I've got to specialize right away. I have to have like a high end offer. I have to instantly, niche down my services to become a Pinterest manager or become a launch manager. I need to learn Facebook ads. Like there's so many, like anybody, especially those of you guys who said you're still in the launch phase, anyone in kind of that learning overwhelm phase right now. Yes, I can assume most of you guys are, because there's a lot. There's a lot that you could learn. There's a lot of services that you could offer. And just that can be really overwhelming because that imposter syndrome starts to kick in and you start thinking, I don't know all of those services. So let me just like clear the board for you. You're not supposed to know all of the services. Okay. So as a general virtual assistant, which is what I would encourage most of you guys to start out with, you just need to start with the services that you do know how to do or that you could learn really, really quickly. Okay. That's why I recommend, usually as a general virtual assistant, that you start off with things like customer service emails, right? And sending invoices, like really like simple stuff. Even if you're like, oh, I'm not sure how they would do it, that's okay. Most of these people, most of the clients who are going to be hiring a first time VA already have some of these systems in process. They're not looking for you to come in and reinvent the wheel. What's happening is they're getting bogged down with their current tasks. Man, I'm spending so much time answering emails. I'm spending so much time sending invoices. I'm spending so much time answering people's comments on social media that I don't have time to grow my business. So what you're coming and you're doing is you're learning the processes that they're already doing, right? Okay, how would you like me to respond to your social media? Great, you learn that and you go in and you implement it, right? So you don't have to come in with tons of knowledge of how you're going to revolutionize their Facebook or revolutionize their Instagram, right? You're a general VA. You're taking tasks off of their plate. So you can go ahead and take that pressure off of yourself. Now, if you want to later niche down to say, hey, I want to be a Instagram specialist and my goal, my output is that I'm going to grow your Instagram, great. That's an awesome journey, but that's not something you have to do right now in the beginning. And you will find that your business, your services, they're going to ebb, they're going to flow. The services that you choose today probably won't be the services that you're at 10 years from now, right? But you've just got to start with what you already know and get your hands in and start doing it. So is there a particular niche that you want to focus on? And that's great if so. So the only time that I tell people to go ahead and niche down in the beginning, like when you're first starting your business, is if there's a certain industry. So niching, what is niching? It's getting a narrower focus so that you can have a more particular ideal client, right? Which is a great thing to do. We suggest people niche down eventually, but in the very beginning, the ways that you niche down are either by industry or by service, right? So if you niche down by industry, you could say, I am a virtual assistant for real estate agents. I am a virtual assistant for authors, right? That's how you niche down by industry. But if you don't have a connection to one of those industries, guys, don't niche down to that yet, right? Like start off general and then maybe start to get some author clients or start to get some real estate clients. And if you like that niche, then you can niche down, but you don't have to have the pressure to do it right away, is what I'm saying. Now, if you've been working in the real estate industry for 10 years and you have all these connections, please go ahead and niche down. But the only time that I would recommend that you niche down right away is if you have a connection to that industry. So again, we niche down either by industry or service. So again, same thing, become a general VA unless you already have a specialized skill. So if you've been building Squarespace websites for 10 years, like go ahead and niche down to be a Squarespace site builder, right? Like you don't have to just call yourself a general VA if you have a really highly specialized skill. But if you don't, that's okay. Let's start off with general services, right? And most of us guys are most of us will fall into the category of either being, more administrative, more technical, or more creative. I'd actually love to know in the comments, what do you feel like your services are? Do you find yourself doing more, you want to do more administrative stuff like the sending customer service emails, project management, sending invoices, or data entry, organizing spreadsheets, things like that? Are you more administrative? Are you more technical? Do you love to get in the back end? Like, let me figure out Google Analytics, or let me figure out Facebook ads. Let me figure out some of these technical things. Or are you more creative? I would love to create social media graphics, right? I'd love to take over some of these Pinterest. And of course there's overlap, right? Like for Pinterest, for example, you need to be able to create a beautiful graphic and know the metrics behind what's operating well. But I'd love to know if you guys would find yourself to be a little bit more administrative, technical, or creative, because that's going to help you in choosing your services. Okay. All right, we're going to keep going because we have a lot of things to cover. I will note it can be easy to get stuck on this part and spend hours agonizing over where to begin, but the best way to start is by offering the services that match your current skills. You already have natural abilities and skills that you've been using in other roles, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a parent, whether you are a marketing assistant, whatever role you're currently doing. I mean, heck, we've had Starbucks employees come and transfer some of their skills. Hey, I do customer service every day as a Starbucks employee, right? Whatever you're currently doing, you can transfer over. So why not monetize those skills by offering them to other business owners? Okay. And part of this can be just talking to people. Talk to some small business owners, guys. You don't have to pitch your services, but hey, if you were to hand off something in your business today, what would it be? And see if some of those spark your interest. You can ask that in a Facebook group too. If you are looking for man, what services should I choose? Am I more technical? Am I more creative? You can go to the virtualsavvy.com/quiz. We've got an awesome quiz there that's going to help you actually choose your niche if you want to niche down. So I wanted to go ahead and note that. Okay. Let's go on to the next thing. But first, your action step for this is to write a list of skills. Okay. Write a list of skills and interests that you already have and see which ones are the strongest. So you can go through and say, man, I can do customer service. I think I could learn, Excel spreadsheets. I think I could do invoices. I think I could create social media graphics. I learned Canva, right? So go ahead and list out some of the things that you believe that you could do as a VA. The next step, so we're on to step 2, is decide on the hourly rate that you'll charge for your services. So I don't want you to overcomplicate this. The choosing your skills, I know that can take a little bit of time. This should not take a long time. Do not spend a super long time deciding on your rate, you guys. We're gonna choose somewhere between $20 and $30 an hour. You get to choose if you feel more comfortable down at the 20s. If you feel more comfortable up at 35, that's fine too, right? Choose the rate that's going to fit and feel well for you. Remember, you guys, some people get stressed about their hourly rate. Your hourly rate is important to decide on, taking into consideration that you're going to be an independent contractor. So it's not the same as if you were going out and getting a W-2 job, right? As an independent contractor, you are going to have to pay for things like your own, taxes, or I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay for things like your own insurance, your own equipment, any subscriptions that you have, all of that. So your hourly rate comes into being like your overall business operating expenses, and then you'll have profit, and then you'll pay yourself out of that. So I want to note that because sometimes people get stressed like, oh, $30 an hour. Well, it's not going to be $30 an hour after you're paying your own taxes, after you're paying, your any expenses that you have. But we try to keep expenses low. I will say that, and we can talk about that a little later in the Q&A time. There's not a whole lot that you need to be a VA. So just like know that that's the case, but you are going to be having to pay for things like insurance and, you're paying for self-employment taxes, things like that. So what's your hourly rate? Have you already decided? 20, 30, $35 an hour. This is what most of our VAs end up charging in the very beginning. And most of them do hourly packages. So again, if my rate is $30 an hour, I could sell a package of 10, 20, or 40 hours to small business owners. So if a small business owner said, hey, I need your services for 10 hours a month, that package would be $300. And I'm just charging that on a reoccurring basis, right? Every single month, they're going to get that invoice for $300. And you can see how that can stack up over time if you have lots of clients doing that, right? Okay, cool. We'll keep going. Number 3 is to create a mission statement for my business. So if you know who you're helping and you know what you're helping them with, you can come up with your mission statement. And this is literally what you're going to tell people when they ask what you do. So your mission statement is literally, my name is blank. And I would love for you guys to fill this in. If you guys have in the comments what it is that, like, what your mission statement is, please go ahead and put it in there. Mine would be something like, my name is Abbey Ashley. I assist small business owners with administrative tasks so they can focus on scaling their business, right? That's a perfect mission statement for a general VA, right? Maybe you have niche down. My name's Abbey Ashley, or, my business is Instagram creative. I don't know if you put Instagram in your name, but is, Ashley Creative. I assist Instagram influencers with growing their account so they can skyrocket their sales, whatever, right? So you can put this down into a specific niche, but it's essentially, who are you helping? If you don't have a niche, just say small business owners. That's perfect. It doesn't have to be fancy, guys. Okay. I think action over perfection is one of our core values, because people tend to just try to overcomplicate some of this stuff. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just go ahead and say, I assist small business owners with general admin tasks, with social media management, with handling the tasks that they don't have time for, so that you can. And what is the end result? What is it going to be like when someone works with you? They're going to have peace of mind that their administrative tasks are taken care of, right? Whatever it is. So I want some of you guys to practice this. Let me see in the chat a mission statement. If you have one already, or if you're just coming up with one on the fly, it's okay. It doesn't have to be set in stone. It doesn't have to be solid. But what would you think that your mission statement would be after seeing this, right? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. I would love to see that. I want to hear it. Yeah, that's our actions. I was like, I think I have an action step for this. Oh yes, the action step is for you to actually put in the chat. So go ahead and do that. Okay. Awesome. Let's go on, because we have 9 to get through and we're on number 4. So after you've actually come up with your mission statement, you want to learn about your ideal client. Okay. And this can be a way to either further define your niche, or just to kind of figure out, who do I want to work with? Maybe it's not like, oh, just real estate agents, or maybe it's not just authors, right? But maybe it's like, man, I really like working with small businesses. Like, I really like working with, teams of 5 or less, right? Or solopreneurs. Maybe I really like working with women. Maybe I really like working with men. Maybe I really like, and this doesn't have to be something that you advertise, right? All over your sales page, although some people do, right? But what type of people do I like? Working with people who kind of are type A personalities. Like, I like somebody who can just boom, 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 boom. Here's what I need to do. Who's going to talk to me direct? Or do I really like, people who are a little bit more creative, visionary, and then I use my admin skills and my integrator skills to, kind of reel them in. Go ahead and start thinking about the type of people that you would like working with. And once you know that, then okay, what kind of problems would those types of people be facing, right? And a great way to do this, you guys, a great way to do this. Oh my gosh. Like, I know people, my nieces who are, teenagers or in their younger 20s. It's like Facebook is out every other platform. TikTok, I think Snapchat's still cool. Like I don't know, I'm not cool anymore. Facebook is still where I hang. Like, hey, Facebook is still my place, even over Instagram. Like, I love Facebook. And the reason I love Facebook is because I love Facebook groups. So Facebook groups are just such a great way to get information about what your ideal client could be thinking. So again, let's go back to, you want to work with health coaches, right? And you want to know, what are health coaches' biggest pain point? I mean, literally go to a Facebook group of health coaches and just scroll for like 15 minutes, and you will see, oh, these are the problems they're facing. Like, they literally, like, Facebook groups are a place where people just go and dump their questions, dump their problems, right? And they're already like niched down by groups. So I think that Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups can be this way a little bit, but I have found Facebook groups to be so much more engaging. Can be a great way to just really dive into the pain points that your ideal clients are having. So if you're just a general VA, that's fine. Jump into groups like, Jenna Kutcher has a goal diggers group. Dana Malstaff has a boss moms group. Like, you can jump into some of these general business owner groups, Rising Tide Society, right? There's so many just general business owner groups that you can go in and see the kind of questions that they're asking. So this is a great way to know your ideal clients' pain points, because if you know their pain points, then you can speak to their solutions, right? And you can come in and be the solution for your business. So I think this is a really important step. In the fancy business world, it'd be called your market research, right? Like, you don't start a business without doing market research, without knowing the need. And so this is the market research part of your business. I'm seeing some of you guys put your mission statements in the chat, and that makes me really, really happy. I kind of want to read one. My name is Shilpa. I assist small business and startups with social media management, digital marketing, so that you can focus on exponential growth on digital platforms, increase visibility. Come on, that one's so good. I love this. Oh, I love this. Sue, I assist mental health therapists with administrative tasks so they can do what's best to counsel clients. You guys, I love this. This is so, so good. All right. So, secret tip: hang out in the places that your ideal client is hanging out. If you want to work with local business owners, I know that, man, local small business owners, it's one of the best ways to find clients, because local business owners aren't bombarded with all the VAs that there are. Local business owners are like, what's a virtual assistant? Yes, please. So if you want to work with local business owners, go hang out with them. Like, go to local networking events, right? Go to the places where your ideal client is hanging out. That could be conferences, that could be local networking events, that could be Facebook groups, that could be following Instagram accounts and engaging. There's so many different ways to get plugged into the communities that your ideal client is hanging out in. Okay, let's keep going. Are you guys enjoying this? Yes? Good. I want to make sure that you guys have a step-by-step blueprint by the time that you leave here. So the next thing that you'll need to do, I think we're on step number 5, I should have numbered these, is to choose a business name. So this is the first thing that clients see about you. You want to put some thought into it, but you also don't want it to be a point that keeps you from moving forward. I've seen so many VAs get to this point in launching their business and get stuck here. It's like, I can think of my services, I can, start to dive into the client, I can think of all of that. But once we get to like the creative part sometimes will block people. Some of you, this is what excites you, right? It's probably, were you more administrative? Were you more creative? Like, if you're more the creative type, this is one of the things that you're like, ooh, yes, please. Hey, by the way, if that's you and you're like, I'm the creative type, then it's okay to help other people with this too. I think that this is one of those things, is that this is where we can lean into each other's strengths. So if you're having problems choosing a business name, guys, Go post it in our VA Savvies community. Like that's what the community is there for, is to help you brainstorm, right? Is to lean on one another. That's why we're one of the more supportive we're like one of the most supportive communities out there, because you guys can lean on one another and ask these questions. So I guarantee you, not all the good names are taken. I probably think of 5 a week, and I just sometimes I'll just go buy random domain names because I'm just like, oh, this name's so good. Not for VA. Don't worry, I'm not taking all the good VA names for other businesses. But still, there's just, oh my goodness, if you can tap into someone who does have kind of that creative brain, then they'll be able to help you with this step as well. So don't get stuck on this step. All right. Your name can literally, like, guys, I was able to grow a 6-figure agency from my basement apartment with the name Ashley Assistants, right? Literally, my last name and assistants. So don't overthink this. If you can't think of something like crazy creative, that's fine. Literally just go like your last name, assistants, and keep going. And it may come to you later, right? You may be 2 months in and be like, boom, that's my business name. That's why I always recommend to people. I'm like, we were talking about going slow, that there's nothing wrong with going slow. I actually think it's a good thing to go slow, because you might want to change or pivot things. So if you're ordering business cards, don't order, 5,000 business cards, order 100, right? Start with something small, because you may want to tweak things over time, and you don't want to put down a huge investment on something if you may change it, right? And so I give you permission to change your business name down the road if you want to. Like, no big deal. You can do that, right? So, yeah, and yeah, some of Debbie's like, I'm creative, but not naming for myself. Oh, I get that. Like sometimes I can be so creative for other people, and then my own stuff, I'm like, but again, that's why we lean into each other. We lean into each other's creativeness. So once you actually have thought of a business name, it is really, really important to make sure that it's not already trademarked. Now, you do not need to trademark your business name. I'm telling you that in the very beginning, I don't believe personally that it's worth the expense, all the legalities to trademark your business name. As long as somebody else hasn't trademarked it, you can go ahead and start using it. And you have kind of that proof of use, right? So you want to like notate that you've been using it, because if you ever did want to trademark it for it down the line, you would basically want to show that you've been using it before somebody else started using it, right? And so proof of use is a thing in trademarking that if you ever get a trademark, you'll want to see that. So it is good to start, create that Facebook account before you even think you're ready for it, right? But checking the trademark. So if you go in and you see that somebody else has already trademarked your business name, guys, you cannot use it. Okay. So I just want to put that out there, that you don't want to like go so far down the line that you realize, oh my gosh, I've been using a trademark business name. I get a cease and desist. Please don't go down that road. So please check. It's the USTPO trademark database, making sure that your business name is not already trademarked. Okay. And then the other thing that you'll want to do once you make sure it's not a trademark business name is you'll want to grab the domain name. And a lot of times I will like search for business names just on Namecheap. Namecheap, there's lots of others. There's GoDaddy, there's a ton of others. I like Namecheap. It's just really user friendly. I like their documentation and everything. So I really like Namecheap. I will just sit on Namecheap sometimes for like an hour, just like looking up random business names, seeing if those domains are taken. I personally still like .coms. I will use a .co every once in a while. I haven't ventured into other endings, but feel free to if you want to. That's totally up to you. There's pluses and minuses. We won't get into all of that today for different of the different endings. But I personally still try to stick with .com. The worst thing in the world is when you find like, you're like, oh my gosh, I know it. I have that perfect domain. I have it. And you go and you search it and it's still available. And you're like, yes, I'm going to buy it. And I have found domain names for like $900,000 before. Like there's some that are crazy. You're like, never mind, but then even then, sometimes you can just add like, sometimes you can just like add one thing onto it to, like virtualsavvy.com, which we do own Virtual Savvy, but for the longest time, it was just the Virtual Savvy was all we owned, because Virtual Savvy was a little bit more expensive. And so we waited until I could afford that. Right. So I added the Virtual Savvy in front of it. Perfect. So if you're like, desk assist, I don't know, and that's like super expensive or taken. What about the desk assist, right? There can be different variations. So that's a fun little thing that you can do is look for your business name on Namecheap. All right. So your action steps are to choose a business name, make sure it isn't trademarked, and go ahead and secure your domain name. Most domain names, I mean, guys, don't spend thousands of dollars on a domain name. Please don't. Just if you can't find it for like less than $15, then I would keep searching, you know. It's totally up to you, but that's my recommendation. All right. Because your domain name is not that domain name is not going to be the thing that launches you into success. Good marketing is going to launch you into success. Okay. So the next is to actually figure out your branding. Okay. I mean, I know this is a lot, guys. This is why. So we have a course called the Savvy System. It is literally 100 and it's over 100. I think it's like 120 modules that break down each one of these steps plus more, right? So we're just talking about launching. We're just talking about getting started. Yes, there's nuances in it. If you want to know more details, get into the Savvy System next time because it's really the step-by-step blueprint. But I'm giving you the overview here, so you at least know the steps that you can take. All right. So, what is the next step? It would be choosing your branding, right? So branding is that unique reflection of you. And that's what I would really like to emphasize inside of this branding section is that, you know, your branding should be just what you like. Like it's okay because people are hiring you, right? And so if you want your brand to be more quirky, if you want it to be more fun, if you want it to be more professional, you get to choose, right? Know that your brand is going to attract a certain kind of clientele. So if you want to work with professionals, you probably don't want to like have pictures of you, you know, flipping the bird or something. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, speak to your ideal audience, but make sure your ideal audience is somebody that you would like to work with, right? And so I love when like I see you guys' personality infused into your brand. So choosing a logo, right? And there's so many easy ways to do a logo. Again, one of my favorite resources is just going to Etsy. If you go to etsy.com, you can search in, like, if you know you want a logo with a moon in it, you can literally just search on Etsy moon logo and people will come up. And a lot of times they're templates. It's not going to be like a completely custom logo. But again, I'm trying to get you guys, how do we do this on the cheap? And so that's one of my favorite resources for being able to find just an inexpensive logo. Again, with fonts and colors, these are things that you get to choose. Another great resources for this is Pinterest. So I will go to Pinterest and let's say that you want yellow to be one of your main colors. If you go to Pinterest and you type in yellow brand board, okay, because that's what this is on the side. It's a really simple brand board. It shows your logo, your colors, and your fonts. And I have a couple alternate logos there too. So if you type in yellow brand board, what's really cool is that please don't copy people's brand boards, but you can go and you can get inspiration. Ooh, I like those colors, or ooh, I like these fonts. And you can kind of take and piece together your own brand off of that. All right. So again, one of the things that you, Abby Wisdom, don't flip the bird. You can flip the bird if that's your brand. That's fine, I guess. But that's not my brand. So choosing your logo fonts and colors is one of those things for some of you guys are like, oh my gosh, this excites me. I love it. I love it. Some of you guys are like, oh, this is the death of me. If you're one of these people that say, this is the death of me, then what I would recommend is one, again, lean into your community. Could you help set up someone's systems while they help you with the creative, right? Like you can do a little tradesies there. Another thing that you can do is to give yourself a deadline. So I have seen that people who struggle with like the branding portion of setting up their business, one of the things that's helpful is to get accountability and to say, okay, you know, it is Tuesday. By next Tuesday, end of day, whatever I come up with, like that's it. Like I literally, if I have a blank piece of paper, then I am blank virtual assistants because like that is, I'm just going to go with whatever I have. And so giving yourself a deadline and having somebody to hold you accountable to it is going to be really helpful. All right. Let's keep going. Your action step is to create that brand board. That's going to include your logo, your colors, and the fonts that you'll be using for your business. Keep it simple too, guys. Don't have like 100 different fonts. I usually have, I like to say have a bold a fancy, and a text font, right? And your bold and your text could actually be the same font. So you can see here we have, I think I'm not going to remember it, but like I think it's called like Moon something. I don't remember. Is our pretty font, and then we have like this bold font, and that's pretty much all we use, right? Every once in a while, if that bold font isn't available, I'll use like Railway, I think, as like a text font. But pretty much these two fonts are my only fonts. And so you'll see that. And so a brand that has too many fonts, too many colors, like keep it simple, guys. Okay. Oh yeah, those are our fonts. I think Katie might be doing the chat because there's funny comments and knowledge around our brand. So I guess it's Katie probably in the comments. That's awesome. Okay, so the next step is to create your processes. Also, tag Katie if you have questions about your brand because she's really good at branding. All right. Katie gets 100 tags after this. Create your processes. What do you do? So the next step, you've gotten your brand, you know your services, you know your rate. All right, guys, we're really cranking. Like my ideal client, I'm getting this stuff figured out in your business. By the way, like if you've gotten this far in your business, congratulations. Like most people don't even make it this far. Seriously, guys, seriously, you're doing something huge by launching a business, and you have to take time to celebrate that, to like tell people about your accomplishments. Oh my gosh, I finished my brand board. Go and post it in our Savvies group. Other people might not get it, but you know it's a big accomplishment. And so let us celebrate that with you. I want to say that because it's really, really important. This is this is high level stuff, you guys, but you're doing it, you're making it happen. And I want to make sure that you celebrate that along the way. All right, let's keep going. The next step is to actually create your processes. So what this means is when somebody says, yes, I want to hire you, or maybe not even that, like, yes, I want to get on a call to discuss hiring you, then what happens, right? You need to know before you start like putting this out into the world and start trying to get clients, you need to know what the answer to that is. Okay. And so we have like a whole onboarding blog you guys can check out on the website on how to like onboard clients. We've done YouTube videos on how to do discovery calls. We've got tons of resources out there. So I don't have the time to go through every single one of those right now, but you need to know ahead of time, how am I going to just oh my gosh, I can't talk. How am I going to conduct a discovery call? Say that 10 times fast. How am I going to invoice clients? How will I onboard when someone says yes? What's the actual process to get them the information they need and to get information from them? You need to write out all of those different processes. And again, we've got a blog about it. If you go to virtualsavvy.com and just type onboarding in the search section of the blog, you'll find a whole really comprehensive blog on how to onboard clients. So all of that's going to be really, really helpful to know what are my next steps. Okay. You've got to know that. You're not going to, if someone says you get on a discovery call with someone and they're like, all right, I want to work with you. What do I do next? I think I need to send you an invoice. Like, no, you need to know and be able to say it with confidence. Boom, 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 boom. Here are my steps to work with me. There's a couple tools that we absolutely love when it comes to project management, onboarding, just keeping your systems in place. Four of our favorites are ClickUp, Trello, those are project management systems. And then Dubsado and Honeybook are project management and CRM. So they will also help you with like your client management. So Dubsado and Honeybook, it does, not only will it help you with projects, but it will also help you with like sending invoices and things like that. So I would recommend checking out all of these, right? Like there's no one right tool that's right for everybody. I'm a firm believer that like it kind of depends on our personalities and just the way that we work. So go try all of them out. I used Trello for years. I was actually super resistant to get into ClickUp because it was just really overwhelming for me because ClickUp can do so much. But now that I'm in it, I love it. But it took me a while to get there, right? And still for like simple stuff, like if I'm gonna do like things that need to be done in my house, I'll still jump back over to Trello sometimes and just make a really simple to-do to-do list because sometimes simplicity just speaks to my heart. So, you've got to figure out what works for you. And there's other ones too. Yolanda say in the comments, does anyone use Hello Bonsai? It's another one, right? So this isn't all inclusive. There are other platforms out there. There's Asana. There's tons of other project management platforms or CRMs out there. These are just some of our favorites. So go do some research, find which one's going to work the best for you. Basically, you need to be able to answer that question when someone says yes. What do I do? Okay. So that's your action step, is to create your processes. Next, we're going to get legal. You guys, it's one of the most important things you can do is protect yourself with a legal contract. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's just like black and white. Just do it. Like, don't copy paste a random contract off the internet. Do not work without a contract. Just don't. It's not worth it. I have been in a legal battle before over a bad contract. And in fact, a lot of legal battles end up happening because of just people not protecting themselves well with the contract or not understanding their contract. It's really important that you understand what your contract says too. You sign your name to something, guys. It means something. Like your signature on a document means something. So just make sure you know what you're signing, even if it's your own document, right? And have that document because it's there to protect you and to protect your client. We do have a contract. It's at thevirtualsavvy.com/store. It's called the VA Toolbox. It's not only a contract, it's also an explanation of the contract. So we have a video explaining what it means, again, so you know it's built by our attorney that has made this specifically for virtual assistants. Okay. So it's not just a random contract, it's made for VAs. And it also includes a subcontracting agreement. So if you ever bring on a subcontractor, then you have a contract between the two of you guys as well. Okay. So our contract package, it's called the VA Toolbox. It's awesome. You can check it out. I think it's like 97 bucks. Action step, purchase contract. Do it. It's important. You need to. Please don't work without a contract. All right. The very last step, this is what we've covered so far, right? We've chosen hours, or we've chosen our services, decided on our hourly rate, decided on a mission statement, learned our ideal client, chosen a name, brand, fonts, colors, all the brand board elements, create your processes, get legal. And then the last step is to get clients. I would love to know, where are you in this journey? Because a lot of you guys said that you are in the launch phase. So I'd love to know what number you're on. If you're doing this in order, right? Go check. Have I decided on my services? Okay, I'm at step 1. Have I decided my rate? I'm on step 2, right? Where are you, or where have you not gotten past yet in this point? I would love to know in the chat. And then what's kind of holding you back too? I think that awesome. Yolanda is saying 9. I'm still creating my processes. Shavana says 1, choosing my services. So you just started out. That's awesome. Angela said 7, create your processes. It can be a little time consuming for sure. I will say this, at every single one of these steps, you guys, set a deadline. Like you will find yourself just getting stuck if you allow yourself to get stuck, right? So set yourself a deadline, get accountability, and get on to the next step. Pretty much all of these things, I'm like, is there anything that you can't change later? Nope. You can change any of them. Even getting clients. You don't like a client, you can fire your client, right? None of these things are set in stone. None of these things can't be changed down the line. Action over perfection. Whatever's stopping you from getting to the next point in your business, seeing choose a name for a lot of you guys. That's good to know. I've got an entire blog post on how to choose your business name, and I think a YouTube video as well. There's resources out there, you guys, but you've got to, number 1, believe in yourself. You just have to have courage for the next step. Because I promise you, once you get to number 9, if you have all of this behind you, right? Like, it's scary to start telling people about your business. It is, right? But if you have all of this behind you, it's going to be easier. I didn't say it's going to be easy, but it's going to be easier to go out and start telling people about your business. If you're like, no, I know my services, I know my rate, I know what I'm going to say when they say yes, right? You don't have to have courage for step number 9 if you're still on step number 2. You don't. You just have to have courage for the very next step, and they build upon each other, right? And so, oh, Crystal said, I just found my business name costs $2,300. We can help you. Put a the in front of it. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by that. So you only have to have enough courage for the steps in front of you, right? And so the next step is get clients. We've already been on here 45 minutes, and I want to make sure that we have time to do a Q&A. I will say this is one of the biggest questions that we get, right? But make sure you're not stressing yourself out. Don't stop. Don't put the cart before the horse, right? Like, don't stop if you're on step 1 or 2 and you're stressing out about getting clients. Just work through the steps. Just say, I only have to have courage for the next steps. Then once you get to the get clients, everything's done, right? So all you have to focus on is get clients, which, yes, can be scary. I'm not trying to belittle it. However, if you're worrying about getting clients when you're not even there yet, like, just stop. Just stop. Just get done what you need to get done, and then we can zero in, and your full focus can be on getting clients, because it can be scary. It can be a lot of work. It can take a couple of weeks, even a couple of months sometimes, if you don't, especially if you don't have a good strategy. But it can take a little while to get clients. And so make sure you're able to put your full focus into it, right? That you're not getting distracted. If you've already come up with your onboarding, if you already come up with your business name, guys, make sure that if you're on step 9, you are spending, if you have set aside 10 hours a week to do your business, then maybe set aside 1 hour a week to come watch Abbey on Tuesdays, and the other 9 hours should be spent on marketing, not getting distracted. You guys have to get that laser focus. This is my only goal right now, is to get more clients, is to market, right? It can be a little intimidating. It's usually when that feeling of fear takes over. It's normal, but you can't let the fear stop you. All right. So I do have a training on this. Again, we're already 45 minutes in. I only come live usually for about an hour, and I want to make sure we have Q&A. Just this training that I'm sharing with you is about a 90-minute training. Okay. So if you're newer in your business, most of you guys said that you're on the launch phase of your business, this Become a Booked Out Virtual Assistant training is really good. I talk about marketing in there. I talk about where to get your first few clients. So that's going to be really helpful for you as well. Okay. So free training, go check it out, thevirtualsavvy.com/BBO. I want to do this. I want to make sure that we have enough time to do Q&A. So what questions? This was a lot of information. I was like, I'm coming on strong today because I want you guys to have the information that you need. I need you to know where you're at in the journey, what your next step is, what do you need to get to that next step. That's my job, right? It's my job to lay the path out clearly for you, but it's your job to take action on it. So what's getting you stuck? What do you have questions about? Go ahead and post in the chat, and we will do about 14 minutes of Q&A time here. And yeah, we'll keep going. There's a couple comments that I wanted to highlight while you guys are dropping questions in the chat. I love this. Whenever fear takes over, I watch your videos. It really helps me. Yay! That makes me so happy. You know, one of the things that one of my old coaches used to tell me is, so I find my biggest tendency is overwhelm. Like, when do I get stuck? It's really, getting to know yourself is really important. I tend to get stuck when I'm overwhelmed and I don't feel like I have options. I'm just like, I'm stuck. Like, I'm overwhelmed. There's too much to do. I can't balance it all. Something's going to fall. Like, those are the messages that play in my head. Right. And so if I know that's my tendency, like, what are the messages that you tell yourself when you're stressed? The messages that I tell myself is that like it's too much. It's too much. Like, I feel it in my shoulders and I'm just like, it's too much. It's too much. Overwhelm is one of my biggest pitfalls, right? And so for me, what my coach told me this one time was, you fight overwhelm with a plan. Okay. And so, and that helps me in so many areas of my life, you guys. Like, literally, if I'm wanting to eat healthy, what's the best way? In the moment, I'll be like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. What do I do? The best way is just have a plan. I just, plan the night before. What's for dinner? Make sure I set out meat to defrost so I'm not freaking out at dinner time, right? Like, the best way to fight overwhelm is with a plan. And so we've given you the plan, you guys. And all you have to do is step by step, one thing at a time. One other, I wanted to shout out Jessica. I had my first discovery with a potential client today. Congratulations, Jessica. I've learned a lot from watching your videos, put a lot of work into this. Oh my goodness, you're gonna do absolutely awesome. I'm so excited for you. Make sure you shout us out either in the Facebook group or on Instagram. I'd love for you to tag us and let us know how your interview went. That's so, so exciting. I love it. Okay, let's jump in. You guys have some questions here. All right. So, do you recommend cold DMs to potential clients? So, there is a way to do cold outreach well. Okay. I am not totally against cold outreach. I think that there has been apparently some really bad training out there on cold outreach. I know I don't know if you guys are like me. When I hear cold outreach, I totally just think about like my Facebook friends that I haven't talked to in like 15 years that hit me up and they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And it's like a word for word script trying to sell like their drink mix or something like MLM, right? And that just makes me cringe because I'm just like, you've given me no value. You haven't connected with me. You haven't any of that. So cold outreach can have this like icky feeling tied to it for good reason because some people are just really bad at it. So how do you be good at it, right? So we teach a principle called value first. And there is something to be said about like treating the other person like a real person. Like if you were pitching a multi six figure business, like then there's got to be something there that's going to be like valuing their time that I'm going to make it worth it for you to read my email, right? And so there's different ways that you can do that. Like sometimes just to get in people's circles, like if I've taken a course from somebody, I will send them like an awesome testimonial. I'm just giving them appreciation, right? If I'm reaching out to a friend that I know is a business owner, but I haven't talked to him in 5 years, I'll spend a month or so just reconnecting with them first, right? Like just getting to know them as a human, as a person. If I am if I'm wanting to just totally cold pitch somebody, I've cold pitched before. In fact, my dream client when I first started my business was a guy named Brian Harris. And Brian Harris at the time had a business called Video Fruit. It's now called Growth Tools. It's a multi-million dollar organization. And it was back then too. I mean, he's been killing it for years. But he was my dream client. I read all of his blogs. I was like obsessed with like all his content. Everything he put out was so good. And I would read it. And I was like, when I thought of a dream client, I was like, that's who I want to work for. And so, you know what? I cold pitched him. But I spent about 2 weeks on my cold pitch. It was not just a, hey, I'm really interested in working on your team. Here's my portfolio. That showed no value to him. What I actually did, because I wanted him to notice my work, is that I actually spent a week taking some of his blog posts and turning them into content upgrades, like turning them into freebies. I actually made like a teachable course for him out of a couple of his blogs. I was like, hey, here's a course that you could just use as an opt-in. And it was just a way to show value first. Okay. You don't have to do this with all clients, but I think there's something to be said with that high end targeting. Like I want to work with a dream client, then you got to make it worth it for them to open your email, right? And so that's what I did. And it's one of the methods we teach in the Savvy system is how to do this high-end client targeting where I really made him notice. And so did he ever use that freebie? No, I don't think he did, but it got through the gatekeeper of his VA, right, who checks his emails. And he's like, who are you? Let's talk. We jumped on a call. He hired me instantly. I worked for him for over 2 years, learned everything. I got paid really well to work for him. At the same time, I got to see behind the scenes of this multi-million dollar course business that has paved the way to what I do now. So it can be really, really worth it. That came all from a cold pitch, right? But a cold pitch done well. So is there a way to do it? Yes, 100%. Some of you guys know Jordan Gill, System Save Me. She's awesome. She loves to tell the story of how she really wanted this freelancer position. And she saw that the person who was hiring was at this conference. And so she like stalked their Pinterest, I think, and found out what kind of flavors of cupcakes they liked and sent her cupcakes. Like, that's, you know, might cross over into creepy, and it's okay. Jordan would say that too. She's acknowledged that, but she's like, "Hey, I got the job," right? Like it made them notice me. It was something to put me above and beyond, and that's that value first. So there's something to be said for not just sending a cold outreach email. Like you got to do something to make a cold outreach warm. And that is through value first. That's through priming them. That's through whatever. Okay. I spent a lot of time on that, but I think it's a really good question. Should I set up a separate Facebook account for my business? So, Bree, great question. No. So, Facebook actually does not want you to do that. If they find out that you have two accounts, they will shut one down. So, you as an individual should only have one Facebook account. Now, what happens is you create a business account and you attach it to your Facebook. And so, that's not saying that your personal Facebook has to become public. No, you can still, your personal Facebook profile can still be shut down private where no one can see anything on your feed. However, your business page that's attached to that personal profile will be public for people to see. So that's what I would recommend is keeping your same Facebook profile that you have, but then just starting a business profile under that Facebook personal profile. Okay. So good. What other questions do we have? Oh, yay, the Savvy systems help me keep things in order. I love that. Thank you for this live. I needed a fire to get back on track. Hey, we need that sometime. How do we go about setting up our domain? So again, namecheap.com. And then what you'll need to do at that point is like for the longest time, guys, I wouldn't even build a website. Like I would just have my domain point to my Facebook page just because it's like, oh, I can at least go ahead and put it on business cards. And then once I'm ready, I can direct it to a website. And then it depends on what kind of site builder you're going to use. We usually recommend either WordPress or Squarespace. WordPress is more difficult. I definitely recommend using a site builder like Elementor or Beaver Builder, one of those if you're going to use WordPress. But WordPress has a lot of functionality too. So if you're more techie, maybe go with WordPress. If not, Squarespace is a really great option. And they actually lead you through the process of how to connect your domain to your website in Squarespace really, really easily. And we also have courses in Savvy Vault on how to do this. So if you guys are like at the point where you're ready to build a website, then we have courses on Squarespace. We have courses on Elementor. We have courses on different ways to build a website inside of Savvy Vault. So that could be an option for you as well. All right. Oh, Angela, I love this question. I have a potential client meeting. Yay. I'm overthinking my abilities. How can I speak to being able to manage emails, calendars, or simple bookkeeping? So I'll go ahead and say this. You're on your discovery call. The most important thing that you can do is have a plan. Like if they know that you are coming in confident and prepared. So we have a YouTube video on how to do discovery calls well. I would go and like make your list, make your little checklist of what you need to do. You lead the meeting, Angela. This is not a meeting for them. This is you. And so you start out the meeting and you're saying, hey, in today's meeting, I just want to talk to you. I want to get to know your business. I'll tell you a little bit about my business and then we'll see if we're a good fit, right? They're probably not going to grill you on like, do you know how to manage emails? Do you know how to do this? Right. It's that comes in the like, okay, now that you've hired me, let's figure out the details and let's get everything handed over. Here's how I'll need accounts, all of these different things. Right. So if you know that you can manage emails, calendars, simple bookkeeping, because you didn't say you didn't know how to do those things, you don't know how to speak to doing those things. Right. I don't think you have to stress about that for this actual meeting. Unless if you want to write down like, okay, how would I manage emails? Go ahead and come up with a little 5-step process. Like if that would help you to feel more secure, like I would get your password information, right? Using something like Dashlane or what was the other one? LastPass are two like password options. I would get your password. I would first go in and just get to know your inbox, right? Like I would, I would go in and I would get to understand your folders, go and look through previous emails, I would get with you and ask what's most important. So we would do a 1 hour meeting where you would download to me how you want your inbox to be managed. And then I would, we'll have a 2 week time where I'm going to be asking probably a lot of questions in those 2 weeks. But then after that, I'm managing it fully. And my goal is to optimize it. So to come up with even better processes to manage it over time, right? 5 step process. And so anytime that you can come up with like, it's called instructional design, like my 5 step process. This is my signature system, blah, 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 blah. It makes people feel confident. It's like, oh, she knows what she's talking about, right? So if that would make you feel better, I don't think it's going to come up in your discovery call, but if it would make you feel better, just to know that for your own peace of mind, like go ahead and do that with emails, calendar management, bookkeeping. Be like, okay, this would be my process of how I would actually manage that. Okay. Great questions, you guys. I love this. Um, I'm not gonna be able to answer all of them, so let me just pick a few. Christian, I believe you are, Sammy says some student, aren't you? Is there a difference on how you could conduct job op discovery calls versus organic? They reached out to you. Not necessarily. So I would do discovery calls the same way. Use the nail the sale blueprint for both. Yes, 100%. You just, again, the most important part is research. You come to that discovery call prepared. You know what you're going to say. You have already researched them. It's not like, oh, I need to get to know them on this discovery call. No, you've already spent 20 minutes researching them. You know their business as much as you can, right? From social, from their website, from socials, from, all the Facebook stalking that we all know how to do. You already know them as well as you can, so that you come into that call prepared as possible, right? Um, let's see. Oh, I love this. I'm at number 9. Apart from local marketing, what other marketing techniques can I use? So I would definitely recommend going to that BBO webinar. So the virtualsavvy.com/BBO. Let me find the link to it again. This is going to help you with your marketing efforts. Okay. Again, I've done whole trainings just on marketing. This training alone is 90 minutes. So I'm not going to jump into all of it right now. But there's so many places. I mean, you can, and it's really just finding one or two that really fit you well. So you can find jobs in Facebook groups. You can find jobs on Instagram. You can find jobs on LinkedIn. You can go to local networking events. You could start a local networking event. Like there's so many different ways to connect with potential clients. So I'm not going to go into all of them right now, but we definitely do cover some of them inside of this training. All right. Oh my goodness, yes. Overcoming the fear of launching a business, especially with your friends, family on Facebook, essentially the fear of people judging me. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Whoever is going to judge you for starting a business doesn't deserve your time. I'm sorry. It's just true though. Like I only want to surround myself with supportive people, and there will always be people who don't support you, and that is the repercussion of doing anything big in this world, is that you're going to have people who are going to like not agree with it or not support you. I mean, you read any biography, you read biographies on like Michael Jordan and just like people who didn't believe in him, right? Like there's always going to be people who don't agree, who don't understand, who don't support you, and that's why it's so important to find your community of people who do, right? Because you've got to make those voices of people who do support you louder than the people who don't. So find an accountability partner, find a local networking group of other entrepreneurs, find some business friends, find our Savvy's community, right? Like find your people who are going to keep rooting for you even if other people shoot you down. Like that's my biggest recommendation. It's hard. I remember being in a really tough season in my business a few years back, and just being like, honestly, I was praying and I'm like, God, why is this so hard? Like, why is this so difficult? And I felt like when I was praying, I had this impression of like, Abbey, if you want to do big things, you're going to have to develop tough skin. Huh, I did not like that message, but it's so true, right? Like um I want to do big things. Like I have dreams. I have such huge dreams. A ton of those have already come to happen, but I have even more dreams, right? Like I want to help you guys in even bigger ways. And but if I'm going to do those things, I've got to have tough skin because you don't do big things without really developing tough skin. And how do you get tough skin? Through doing the hard stuff, through facing opposition, right? So that would be my message to you as well. Do you want to do something big? Your skin's going to have to toughen up a little bit. And then just surround yourself with people who are going to support you, right? Awesome. Oh, yes. So good. Yes, there is an entire section on marketing's where and how to grow inside of the Savvy system as well. All right, guys. I know we didn't get into all the questions today. Any questions that we didn't answer, go post them in our Savvy or in our VA Savvies community. You guys, that is the most supportive community. You guys can go there at any time and ask your questions. And I promise it will be met with lots of awesome feedback because that's what that community does. Thank you guys so much again. I hope that you have an awesome rest of the day. If you didn't already, make sure you do check out that BBO webinar. It is absolute gold, is going to give you what you need to get you to the next step, especially if you are in the step number 9, you're ready to get clients. This training is for you. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have an awesome rest of the day.